Welcome to another episode of Quantum Ascension Shift Codes. I just hopped off of a Rise Sister Rise call. We totally lost time. It was like a 2.5 hour call and it was amazing. And we just dove really deep into quantum mechanics and identity shifting. And it just so happens that I'm dropping the episode for this series today as well. And so it's going to piggyback off of the momentum from that call. Of course, I had some outline that I thought I was going to be talking about, but I was inspired just to hit record and just channel this out. So I'm just going to dive into this. We're going to have a little divine discussion on collapsing timelines and living your highest divine reality now. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Where do I feel called to start? I want to bring a baseline understanding. This is going to be a little food for your mind, since your mind is trying to figure this out on how to collapse timelines and ascend into your highest divine reality. And we know that your mind is rooted in duality and trying to figure things out. And sometimes it helps to have a baseline understanding of how reality really works so that you can give enough food to your mind to sort of like say, okay, this is actually possible. This is actually how reality really works. And so I'm going to try to give a very simplified version of quantum mechanics and quantum physics, which you are welcome to research. If you happen to be a quantum physicist, I am, in full disclaimer, not a quantum physicist. I'm teaching from my lived experience and from what I do know to be true and from what I have researched over the course of a decade. And this is this is the truth that I have come to on how reality really works. Um, so this is kind of this is I'm just gonna dive in. There's just like so much coming through. I don't want to get lost in the mind trying to figure it out. So, okay. When we say we're collapsing timelines into our highest timeline, when this is what you are shifting into, and your mind gets a hold of that and says, yeah, but like, yeah, but look at what's happening in this external world out there. Look what's happening in my reality. Look what's happening to my career or my job or this relationship or this bank balance or all of the things. It tries to connect the dots in a linear timeline, in a logical timeline, to try to take the necessary steps to go from A to Z to get to a certain destination. And this is not how you quantum shift. This is what the mind is doing to try to compartmentalize things and try to figure things out. The mind loves to try to figure things out, and the mind is rooted in duality. And the mind is often used, or it should be used as a tool. However, most people allow it to run rampant as a little tyrant that sits in your head and judges you all day and tells you what is possible and limits your expression and keeps you dimming your light and playing small and keeps you from actually dreaming big and accepting and trusting in the soul desires that are bubbling up within you, and keeps you very limited. When you are quantum shifting into your highest divine reality, into your 5D timeline, you are going beyond the psychological borders of what your mind knows to be true. Your mind is rooted in the past and what it knows to be true. And most people, the mind is running rampant like a little tyrant, rooted in duality, and keeping your focused attention, your focused awareness bouncing back and forth like a little ping pong ball, um, back and forth between future projections of what you want or what you desire or what you need and blah, 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 and past memory and how things didn't work out in the past or how you should be acting now based on something that happened in the past. And so you're literally dragging the past conditioning into the present moment, and it's creating your reality from this point of perception, from this identity. So the problem with most, and it's not a problem per se, but if you want to create your highest divine reality, it's a suggestion that you recognize when you are operating from a wounded identity that keeps you focused in the past, trying to always fix things and figure things out and all of that kind of stuff. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But let's see. So this isn't about, so most people will be living from, depending on how, where you're at on this ascension journey, living from that wounded identity, living from an identity that is rooted in past conditioning and circumstances and programming that has solidified some sense of self in out of limitless possibilities and infinite number of timelines and possibilities available. So you have solidified your identity based on wounded patterns and wounded conditions of the past. And then your external reality reflects that back to you, because your external reality, it's not really external, but for the sake of this training, we're going to call it external 3D reality. From the 3D reality reflects that back to you, because reality is a mirror. It is not a window for you to look out and use as a barometer to try to gauge what is possible for you. The world that you see, the 3D world, is your past. It is an echo of your past. It is your past conditioning, your past belief systems, your past thought patterns, the past perceptions that you've held about yourself and reality, and the identity that you've been anchored in. So when you look outside of into your 3D reality, I had to correct Rise Sister Rise client a month or so ago when she was looking out into her 3D reality and said, "Well, yeah, but this is real." And I said, "No, it's not. It's not real to the way you think it's real. Reality is actually very fluid and malleable." And we're going to touch on this. We're going to bring science into this to add a little bit more practicality to it. So this doesn't just hang out as some woo-woo concept in your mind. I want to give your mind just enough food to be able to know that this is actually how you create your reality. So what you see out there is fluid, it's very malleable, it appears solid, it is not solid, it is not real the way you think it is real. Science has already proven this. When you think of quantum physics and quantum mechanics, you can dial it down into the tiniest subatomic particles, and what you will see is that these particles or quirks or whatever, again, I'm not a quantum physicist, so I might be mixing some of my language, so I encourage you to research this on your own. Just so you can wrap your head around this, but I'm going to share the gist and of what's coming through right now. When you dial things down to the tiniest subatomic particles, what you see is that you see things popping in and out of existence. You see like um, some atomic particles, quarks, or whatever, popping in and out of existence. And you, science has already proven that there are waves and then there are particles, and things will remain a wave until it is observed and measured, and then it becomes what is referred to as like a particle. And even when you drill into that particle, it's not really a thing. It's more of a no thing. Like it exists and it doesn't exist. And everything is popping in and out of existence. So where is it going when it's not here in existence, right? So this is really bridging the gap between science and spirituality. So when I refer to this as wave versus particle, I want you to think of like, so this is part of like what's called the observer effect. Like things will remain a wave until it is measured or observed, and then it can be kind of, for lack of a better word, solidified into form, or what appears to be form. And so that's kind of what's happening with your identity. You're taking a limitless, infinite number of timelines and possibilities, and you're collapsing into a solidified identity, right? You're solidified into AKA this particle, when essentially you are the formless and you are the form, you are the wave and you are the particle. You are the infinite intelligence and you are the matter simultaneously. But what happens with your conscious awareness and your focus, which is your creative your creative power, you collapse all of the infinite possibilities available to you, all of the infinite number timelines that currently exist right now, and you collapse them into this experience, and the timeline that you experience will be the one that you are identified with. This is why you hear of identity shifting in order to quantum shift into your highest timeline and collapse timelines. And so we're going to dive into this a little deeper, but I want you to think of this as like, so you have in the infinite field of limitless possibilities and infinite number of timelines, every timeline is available now. And through your focusing mechanism, your you are a focusing mechanism. You are a transmitter. You are a broadcasting signal. You are a focuser of consciousness. You appear as the separate sense of self, even though you're not technically separate from anything. You're one with all things, but you appear as this separated sense of self, just like a wave appears separate to the ocean, even though the wave is always the ocean, just appearing separate as a wave. So you are appearing as this separate sense of self. And because you are a child of God, made in the likeness of the ultimate creator, you are what? You are a creator, and you are like the creator of your little micro world, we're going to call it. God creates all things, including you, and dwells within you. You are one with God. God lives within you as you and breathes you and has created all. The infinite creator, the one, has created all. And you are made in the likeness of that. So you can think of like the God essence is creator of all things, creation energy, creator of all things. And you are like the creator of your micro world. So there's like this macro, for lack of a better word. And of course, this is limited because I'm using language to describe something that is beyond language, prior to language. But I'm just going to do the best to try to explain this so this can maybe make a little bit of sense and resonate with you. And you can let me know in the comments if it does. God created all things and created, for lack of a better word, this macro everything, all of it. And then you, made in the likeness of the creator, you are a divine creator. You're made in the likeness of God. You have the ability to create through your focused consciousness. You are a focuser of consciousness, which you are a focuser of consciousness. You are broadcasting a signal, and you are then creating your micro world within the macro. And this is what you call your life experience. This is what you call your identity, the one that you are locked into right now because of your perception of what is possible, because of your conditioning, your patternings, what you believe is possible, your expectations, and the stories that you tell, and what you buy into. Like all of that is part of pulling your awareness, your focused consciousness, instead of being focused in the timeline that is actually your highest divine timeline, is kind of being scattered and dispersed based on all of the different conditions and patterns of belief, thought patterns, and ways of being that you've been conditioned to believe about yourself and about the world and reality and how you actually exist within it. The problem here, if there is a problem, even though there is no problem, and that's the paradox, but nonetheless, you're here because for a reason, is most people have been identified with a wounded identity and identified with the programming and conditioning, and then believing and buying into the linear timeline that is produced by the mind, the linear timeline, the past and the future and the projections, and they live ping-ponging back and forth between that. And that creates separation. It creates delay. It creates a lot of time in between whatever it is that you're creating. And this is about collapsing those timelines. This is about quantum shifting by identity shifting into your highest divine reality, which means you can no longer operate from the wounded identity or the identity that buys into lack or scarcity or fear or anything like that. Because your highest divine reality, rooted in 5D New Earth timeline, is not rooted in fear. It's not rooted in self-consciousness. It's not rooted in doubt. Doubt is the big killer of your highest divine timeline, is doubt. not being able to actually trust the divine desires that were gifted, that are coming, that want to be experienced and expressed through you, because of fear of being seen or judged, seen in a certain way, or judged or rejected, not lovable, not safe. It all boils down to not feeling safe, not feeling lovable, not feeling worthy, things like that. So, anyways, we're going to call that the wounded identity, which is, and this may feel a little triggering, but it is creating your reality, and it is a choice. If you're listening to this, you have risen, for lack of a better word, even though you're not technically rising into your highest divine self, you already are your highest divine self. But again, I'm using language to describe the undescribable. So bear with me. You have risen to a level of conscious awareness where you can now see that you are not this wounded identity, or you wouldn't be resonating with this, or you are moving into that. You are experiencing that more and more, and that's why you're resonating with this. So let's talk about this just from a quantum mechanics perspective again. I talk a lot about, well, okay, this is all going to tie together somehow, so I'm just going to talk. I talk a lot about present moment awareness, you living as the divine presence, not becoming your divine presence. That's a myth. That's one of the biggest myths that'll keep you stuck in a holding pattern, is you're becoming your divine reality, your divine self. You're not becoming your divine self. You will never become your divine self, because you can't not be your divine self. You are already here as the infinite source of all things that lives within you. You are one with it. This is only accessed in the now. And the reason I'm doing this, it's an intuitive thing, because it feels like this when you're living here. It feels like you are locked in to the present moment. You are not living, and I'm going up because this is intuitively how it feels like. You're not living from the conceptual mind. You're not going up into the mind and living, ping-ponging back and forth between past and future, trying to figure shit out, make things happen, effort your way through a logical, linear, step-by-step process in order to go from A to Z, or trying to run from your past and avoid whatever you don't want to reoccur, or this or that. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just when you're living from this, you're playing the game from the game of duality, this game of life that you came here to experience. And there's many different ways you can play this game of life. You can play the game of life from the wounded separate self, that then will create a reality outside of you that reflects back all of that woundedness. And you will look out into your reality and you will call it fate. You will call it real. You will call it, this is what it is. And you will be right, because you created it, because of the thought patterns and the conditioning and the belief systems and all the things that you bought into in order to create that reality. You can live the reality. You can live whatever reality you choose. You can play this game of life in all of its different flavors. So you came here to play this game of life, and you can play it from any flavor of life you want to play it from. You can play it from the wounded identity, or you can play it from your highest divine reality, which is not going to be rooted in woundedness or fear or scarcity or lack or anything like that. You are abundant by nature. It's only your belief that you are not, or that your belief in lack or scarcity, that's creating your reality. And then you look out into the world, you say that that's true for you, you use it as a barometer to gauge what is possible for you. It's reflecting back to you, you buy into it, reinforces the patterning and the conditioning, and then you live in this hamster wheel. And a lot of people live in this hamster wheel their whole life, constantly being what's the word I'm looking for? Constantly being uh restricted by what they see in their tangible 3D reality, because they're using it as a barometer instead of a recalibration moment. Which, if you feel like you need to be recalibrating a lot of moments, then check out the previous episode, which right now you can access inside the membership area here on YouTube while it's still available, because these episodes kind of piggyback on each other. And the previous episode was all about recalibrating in the moment, because really your field is receiving a signal based on how you are being on a regular basis, not just once in a while. And so it does take effort to recalibrate yourself to truth over and over and over again, and not buy into the fear-based stories and narratives. Okay, I totally lost where I was. Let me take a sip of this. Mm, okay. I totally lost where I was. I don't know. It's just gonna come back here, so we're just gonna hang out till it comes back. Um, hmm. Okay. So you get to live whatever reality that you choose, and there are an infinite number of timelines and realities available to you. So I'm kind of recapping a little bit, but I'm just going to, oh, yeah. So when I speak to living from your presence and living as your divine presence, the reason it feels like this is because you're not accessing the past or the future anymore. You're just here now. That's what Eckhart Tolle means, the power of now. And when it feels as if you go up into conceptual reality, when you go up into the mind, when you go up and you start ping-ponging back and forth between duality, this is a journey of oneness. This is why it's called the quantum ascension shift codes, because this is about your ascension, not just quantum shifting. It's both. Because when you realize the truth of who you are and you live as the oneness that you are, you will collapse all timelines into your highest divine reality. You could take probably just a few of the truth bombs that I'm about to drop in here, and even just one of them, if they click with you, is all that is necessary. There's just something that clicks into place frequency wise that helps fine tune a little bit, and you instantly click and shift into your next timeline. This is what happens in my containers all the time. So anyways, long story short, I keep getting lost. It'll come back. It's part of delivering content live, guys. If you feel like, and I'm not even live, I'm recorded, but I'm not going to edit this, so feels like it. Um, I hope this is resonating with a deeper part of you, not the mind. I'm sure it will. I trust that it will. When you feel like you're going back up into the mind and you're ping-ponging back and forth between duality, past and future, you are now living from this conceptual reality because life is here now. Life is here now. You will never experience the future. You will never experience the past, except for in your mind. You can attempt to escape the moment of now, but you can't escape the moment of now. It's always now. It's not even a moment. It's just this eternal, timeless presence that is always here. It's not a moment that you can chop up into a bunch of little moments. It's not moment and then moment and then moment that you divide lines in between, and there's all these like separate moments. It's just the moment arises and dies simultaneously. It's here and rises and dies simultaneously, and it's here right now. You're never going to experience your highest divine timeline in the future. You're never going to, it's only here now. This is what I mean when I say you are the portal. All of this is happening through your sacred vessel. You are the portal. You are it. You are all of it. And so when you're living from your divine presence, you are living in a state of no mind and no time. Okay. So hopefully you're still with me right here, right now, whatever you're doing, unless you're driving or something. Even if you're driving, I mean, don't close your eyes or whatever, but you can close your eyes or even keep them open. Right now, you are here now, present in the moment. Unless you jump up to the mind, so to speak, even though it's not directional like that, the mind is everywhere. It's not in your brain, it's not in your head, it's everywhere. Um, so that's also misleading, but regardless, I'm just sharing what it feels like from an experiential level so you can tap into this. When you feel as if you're jumping up into the mind and you start living from past and future, you are now living in duality, and this is a journey of oneness. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just where a lot of suffering takes place because you're constantly trying to run from the past and create the future. And what you are attempting to do is to escape the moment of now. But You cannot escape the moment of now, no matter how hard you try. It's always now, is it not? Even when you experience that future now moment on the linear timeline, let's say 2027 or something. I'm recording this in what appears to be 2025, but let's say you're going to experience it then now. You're going to experience the future now moment now, right? Like whatever moment you think is going to be in the future is only going to be experienced now. The only thing you can attempt to do is access it now, and you can only do that through the mind. If you want to stay present in your power, then you remain here in the moment of now, which is a state of no mind and no time, because time does not exist when you are here now. Time is an illusion, and we will talk about that a little bit here in a second. And so this is where you begin to collapse timelines. Is that making sense? You collapse timelines when you live here now in the present moment, and you stop living from a conceptual reality in the future or running from the past. And if you only take this little truth bomb, and that's all you get from this entire transmission, that is enough to shift you into your entire timeline. Or just clicking into the fact that you are one with all of creation, any of this. But anyways, ultimately, this is a journey from the dualistic mind into the truth of who you are, which is one with all things. You will not be able to shift into your highest divine 5D timeline, new earth timeline, unity conscious timeline, oneness conscious timeline, whatever label you want to put on it, by abiding in this, identifying rather with this dualistic mind. Because when you are so locked into the identity, the separate sense of self, the separate sense of identity, remember that collapsing into an identity, you will always be trying to live anywhere but now. You will try to be anywhere but now. You will try to be anything but present. You will try to escape into the mind, which is why you escape into the mind. You escape into the mind because you don't feel safe to be here now, or you project into the future, or you keep yourself super busy all the time, all the things, all of it is a distraction for you to not be here now, because being here now is where there is no time, there is no fear, there is no doubt, there is no worry. There is just what's happening right now in the moment, and the organic unfolding from that, which is always in your highest good for all involved when you are living from your pure presence. So it is so in actuality, it is like the attempting to escape the present moment through the mind, through distraction, through all the things, that is, which is absurd. If you like it, how can you escape the now moment? Like, you can't. Everything is always happening now. Even when you're remembering the past, you're remembering it now. When you're projecting into the future, you're doing it now. Now, you can use your imagination, but even then, you're doing it now. When you're imagining your highest divine timeline and what that feels like when you're working with the law of assumption and Neville Goddard, you're not doing it in the future, and you're not experiencing it as something that you may have in the future. You're collapsing the timeline by feeling the essence of it, so it feels so alive in your being. And the key word here is feeling. You feel so alive in your being with the divine reality, that you are living it and breathing it and feeling it and walking it and talking it as you are it right now here in the moment. This is when you collapse timelines, when you are literally being it now. You can't be your future self. Like, your future self is here now. There is the timeline already available where you, let's say, are There's infinite number of timelines. They're all available to you right now. What you are focused on with your conscious awareness is the identity that you will experience and the timeline that you will experience. And each individual timeline will have its own set of circumstances. And every time you make a choice in that timeline, it's another branch in that timeline. It's like infinite possibilities. Every time you make a conscious choice or a conditioned choice or whatever, that timeline is continuing and it's expanding and it's pivoting and all the things in real, like now. It's happening now. It's unfolding right now. So the world that you see is what you have been focusing on. And that becomes very malleable and shapeable and very fluid as you tap into the truth of who you truly are. And you realize that everything is just that you see in the 3D world is an echo of past conditioning. But let's dive into, so I wanted to speak to the present moment and really lock this in. You are here right now with me listening to this or watching this. And if you drop language, because language is of duality, if you drop language and you drop your thoughts, and because you are not your thoughts, you don't have to believe your thoughts. Your thoughts are a powerful tool to help you create reality, but they only have the power that you give it. You have a lot of thoughts every single day. And the ones that you give power to are the ones that are going to create your reality. You do not have to believe your thoughts. Those are just thoughts. They come and go. They're like clouds passing in the infinite sky. You do not have to cling and identify with every thought that passes through. You are not your thoughts. So, uh, what was I saying? So when I wanted to speak to presence because right now, as you are listening to this or watching this, and you drop language and you drop time, and you're just here, there is no past, there is no future, there is no time. You are here living as your divine presence. It's so fucking simple that the mind wants to complicate it. Self-realization is what I'm pointing to here and speaking to here. It is simple. It is right here, right now. There's nothing for you to do to be here. There's nothing for you to get there's nothing that you need to get in order to be here. It's actually like a falling away of everything else so that you're just everything that's left is truth. When the thoughts fall away and the mental patterns fall away and the conditioned and then the emotions fall away and the language falls away and you drop the body, right? Like you do not identify with the body. There is an essence that is beyond the body. That is the truth of who you are. It's looking through your eyes right now. When all of that temporarily falls away, people describe this even when they have near-death experiences. When the body drops away, they're still there as the infinite presence. The body existed within them. They are still there, and they see very quickly, they come back to report after near-death experience that they were infinite, they were boundless, and they realize that they are love and that they are connected to all things. They were never the separate sense of self. They were never the separate body. That was just something that they played for a while. And it actually feels very restricting. That's why most near-death experiences, when you hear them talk, I find it fascinating. They don't want to come back here because it's like putting on a tight pair of shoes. You have to take this infinite beingness that you are, this boundless, expansive spaciousness that you are, and squeeze it into a tiny, tiny shoe that you call this human vessel. And it's very constricting because it's not, because you are beyond that. But it's a game you came here to play, and this is just to help you play it from a higher level so you can enjoy it and live your highest divine reality. Because I do not believe that we came here to suffer. I believe we came here to experience love. We are the infinite love and abundance, and we had to create this dualistic expression in order to experience it. Because if you're just hanging out as love and spaciousness all the time, and that's all that you are, you have nothing to compare it to. You can't really experience it. So we came here to create the experience of love. Because when you're just love, there's nothing to experience because you can't experience yourself unless you have something to compare it to. And here we have the birth of duality. But now you're here to play the game from a higher vantage point. You're here to play the game from someone that is in the world, but not of the world. Okay. You no longer need to create an identity that is rooted in any kind of limitation. And then your timeline begins to shift very, very quickly because there is no time. Time is an illusion. And when you live here and now in the present moment of now, just like Eckhart Tolle talks about, you're living in a state of no mind. Your mind no longer is the dictator in your head that's judging you and criticizing and comparing and tells you all the lies and the stories that you're not good enough and blah, 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 and not worthy enough, and this can't happen and that can't happen, and all of its limitations. Instead, the mind takes its rightful seat as a tool that gets to be used by the infinite consciousness that you are. And now you can use it as a tool, and you can use your thoughts as a tool. Instead of them running your life and dictating your reality, you now get to take all of your power back and sit back into the throne and put your crown back on as the child of God that you are, made in the likeness of your creator, and get to co-create your experience from a place of true fucking sovereignty, fully rooted in your goddess frequency. And when I say goddess, I mean God essence. Your goddess frequency is you living from your divine presence. And so you live from this no mind, you live in no time. And what that does is it collapses timelines very quickly, instantly, now. So, um, so that I wanted to speak to presence because even if that's all you take away from this, that is enough. But I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into like a little bit of like quantum physics and identity shifting. So I used this in the last Rise Sister Rise call I was on. I'm just going to use this as an example really quick. Kind of was inspired by this to just piggyback off of the last Rise Sister Rise call. So I want you to think of this piece of paper as infinite possibilities, an infinite number of timelines. This this piece of paper represents the quantum field. Like it's boundless, it's endless, it's it's timeless, it's right now everything. It's the form, it's the formless, it's all of it. Even what you think is spaciousness or emptiness is not empty, it's full of particles. It's Everything is full, nothing is empty, and yet it's all coming from no thing, right? So yes, it's one big paradox, but science has already proven this. So a lot of what I share, your mind will take it as like, oh, this is just like woo woo. No, it's actually backed by science as well. I remember like over like 12 years ago when I learned like everything was energy, I was like, huh. I just stumbled on that one. For some reason some quote popped into my head like I don't know 15 years ago or something, where I heard everything was just energy, and it was like it activated something within me because I was like, well, there it is. Everything's energy. Cheat code to life. Focus. Everything is frequency. Everything is energy. When you boil it all down, everything is energy. So, anyways, let's get back to this. This this paper represents infinite number of timelines and possibility. They're all happening simultaneously. So this over here represents your wounded identity, the one that's been conditioned to believe the one that believes in insufficiency, the one that believes in lack, the one that believes in not being good enough, worthy enough, the one that plays small, the one that dims your light, the one that's been conditioned by all of your programming and society and parents and upbringing and all the things. You have identified with reality being a certain thing, meaning a certain thing about you and this and that, and there really is no you, and that's part of the problem, if there was a problem. But there isn't a problem. Anyways, back to here. This is where this infinite number of possibilities out of all of the different timelines and the spaciousness, all of it has solidified into an identity through your focused awareness, because that's how powerful you are, because you can focus your conscious awareness and you can materialize into form. That's what you're doing here as a conscious creator. You are materializing things into form. It comes first from the essence of that which you are, and then you can layer thought on top of that, and that becomes a very creative tool that you get to use to manipulate the reality that you see through signaling to the field, whatever broadcast signal you put out. And if you're putting out the signal of lack and scarcity and all the things, then that's going to permeate your field, and that's going to be your dominant frequency. That's going to be your dominant broadcast signal. And then the field is going to rearrange from an infinite number of timelines and possibilities what is the perfect match for what you are signaling. And then you look out into reality, you see it signaling certain things back to you, and most people will use that as a confirmation that that's how their reality works and that that's what's available for them. But you're here because you know now that when you look out into your reality, that's just an echo of your past. It means nothing about what is possible to you. The inner reality creates the external reality, and life is a mirror. And therefore, all you have to do is change the source, which you are the source. You are the power source to this whole thing, and your external reality must shift. This is a spiritual law of correspondence, and it is law. It is not once in a while true. It is 100% without a doubt every single time true. And when you lock into that level of conviction, you will be able to see your timeline shift very quickly. But okay, so back to this. This is the, let's say, the wounded identity in this infinite number of possibilities and timelines in the infinite expansive field. Infinite, okay? And then let's say this over here represents your highest divine reality. You're living you don't operate from fear, you don't negotiate with fear, you don't live from scarcity, you don't live from lack. You are living your highest divine reality, doing what you love, like all the things, right? So this is your highest divine reality. This is the reality. Let's say and then over here, there's all these other realities. I don't have them marked up, but there's the reality where you're a multimillionaire. There's a reality where you're broke as a joke. Like there's all these different timelines that are available to you at any given moment. And what you tap into through your conscious point of presence is what you're going to experience, what you tap into most of the time. Not once in a while, but most of the time. That's why you can have a disempowering thought or a disempowering day and things like that. It's not going to shift your entire reality, and vice versa, because there is a delay here in this 3D world. And thankfully so, because if everything you actually thought materialized into form very quickly, you would probably be living a shitty experience, because most of your thoughts are rooted in fear, lack, or scarcity. Until you train your mind through conscious presence, and then your mind gets on board with the truth of who you are and gets on board with creating your reality for the fun of it and for the joy of it, instead of creating it from a wounded identity. But okay, so if this is the field, the way the separate sense of self, the solidified identity that you have. Oh, and I want to talk about that first. There's this thing in quantum physics called the observer effect, and the observer effect states that things will remain, I don't know if I already mentioned this or not, but things will remain a wave until it is observed or measured, and then it becomes a particle. And that the consciousness and the expectation even of consciousness, or the intention of consciousness and the focus of consciousness, can shift the matter and shift the form. So much so that even the scientists performing the experiments, they have to do, double blind studies and stuff like that, because even the expectation of scientists will shift the result of the whatever they're testing, right? Can shift the matter. And so basically, through your focused awareness, your expectation, your intention, your certainty, and your conviction is a really strong word here with quantum shifting, or your expectation and your intention, you solidify something into form, and it materializes into what appears to be form and solid, even though it's not. And so this right there means that you are constantly rearranging your reality, the world of form, through your conscious presence all the time, not just once in a while, all the time. Every single moment, you are a beacon, you are a signal, a broadcasting signal, and you are focusing your intention, your expectation, your perception of what is possible, and you are focusing all of that, and the world of form is just responding to what you are emitting, right? And so all of the different timelines are possible. It's just a matter of which one are you going to focus on. But here's what the mind likes to do. When you're living from the separate sense of self and you're stuck over here in identity, and let's say you have a desire to be over here living your divine timeline, the mind is going to say, oh, it's going to take a long effing time to get over there. Oh, I'm going to have to do a lot of steps to get over there. Oh, I need to go figure out how I'm going to get over there. How is not your concern, by the way. Divine takes care of all the how behind the scenes in what appears to be a very synchronistic season of events that naturally align you with your highest timeline. It's not to be figured out. So this is what you're transcending, is the logical linear thinking. So when I say you don't have to figure it out and you just have to be, this is what I mean. When you're in your mind, you're trying to figure shit out and you're trying to figure out the best logical way to take action steps to get to here. When most people that are living their highest, like when you think of like people that have really made their mark on history, like anybody, like just let's just say Oprah or Beyonce or anything, or like they will be the first to tell you that that there was a series of events that they never could have planned for. There was conviction there. There was expectation there, but there's also a series of events that unfolds that align them with their timeline that they didn't have control over and they couldn't have figured out. So, anyways, the mind is going to think it takes a long time to get from A to Z. Here's the special little thing I wanted to share with you. This is linear logical thinking. This is separation. This is saying you're over here, you want to be there. There is no here, there is no there. There's only now. There is no time in now. And so when you think of this as the identity that you're focused in, your current focused conscious awareness, what you are conscious of being. And over here, you're conscious of being a multimillionaire. And over here, you're conscious of being making just enough, just as an example, whatever. What you are focused and conscious of being, the signal that you are creating. This is where you're solidified the formless into form through your focusing mechanism that you call this human vessel. You are a focusing mechanism, you are a transmitter, you are a broadcaster. And so you collapse the formless into form, creating this what appears to be a solidified identity that you call you and you call your life. But we already know from science that the consciousness can or does in all instances influence matter and form. It also shows that you can have something over here, what appears to be over here, an action that completely affects something over here. You can research this as quantum entanglement, where simultaneously even something over here can affect over here. And this could be New Jersey, and this could be Mars simultaneously, through a chain of reaction that happens that is like totally complex. Like it blows your mind. It's not of the mind, right? It's like you don't need to try to understand this in order to get the point that I'm sharing. You can research this and go down the rabbit hole if you want. I do find it fascinating. But if you think that what you're doing doesn't make a difference, the thoughts that you're creating, uh the shifts that you're making, you are literally creating a ripple effect with everything that you signal into the field that affects all of reality and it has a very profound like chain reaction that just ripples out. So when I've said this in previous videos that your ascension is the highest contribution to humanity, this is partly why, because when you are rippling out the frequency of love and compassion and service to the whole versus service to self, and you are rippling out joy and you are rippling out higher frequency, You are a catalyst in what the collective is experiencing. You are affecting you that think of it like when you drop a pebble in the pond, it creates a ripple effect. And that's why I've always described Divine Femme as that's my Divine Femme is my personal brand. It's not even personal brand, per se, right? Because it's not about a person, but Divine Femme is my pebble in the pond of this great awakening. It's the ripple effect that I came here to create as a divine creator, to play my part in this collective ascension journey that we appear to be on. And you have your own gifts and magic and things to bring to the world. And not 1 ounce of it is wasted or goes to waste. Everything you do that shifts into higher frequency affects the entire cosmos. Research it, don't have to take my word on it. So, okay, that being said, the mind is going to go, oh, this is going to take a long time. There's a lot of shit I got to do. There's a lot of obstacles. This isn't even possible. I've been over here identified with this like lack mentality my whole life. I've always just been getting by, or every time I make money, I lose it, or whatever that identity is, whatever that story, whatever that narrative is, whatever the mind is selling you right there that you've bought into and that you've solidified into form through your focusing mechanism, through your signal, through your broadcast to the field. And over here's your multi-million dollar self, like kicking back and living the high life and unapologetically, guiltlessly abundant. And the you that you think you are, has no way of figuring out how to get there. And because you're approaching it from the level of the mind, it feels daunting. It feels impossible. It feels limited. It feels like you're lying to yourself. It feels like whatever. And that's the whole point of this. Hopefully, part of the point of this transmission is to help collapse some of that so you can see how possible it is. And not only possible, fucking inevitable when you really live from your true self, your divine presence. Because here's what happens when you live in the present moment, in the state of no mind, no time, and you are fully anchored in your presence, and you are really, you can't fake this frequency. You can't fake that you are a living, walking, talking, breathing expression of the one source, that you are a child of God, and that you know this in your cells and in your being. It's an intuitive sense. It is an experience. It's not, you can't fake this. It emanates from you. It is you. It as you. Like, you can't sell yourself this in the mind and believe it all. You know what I mean? It's an embodiment journey. It's an embodiment game. So, um, when you live from presence and you are now abiding in your timeless, eternal nature, the boundless presence that you are, the spaciousness that you are. Because I ask you, when you are here with me right now in the present moment, and you drop the language, you drop the thoughts, you drop the emotional patterns, you drop the conditioning, you drop the body, you drop all those things, you're here right now. Is there time? Does time exist right here? Is there a time right here? Don't jump up to the mind and answer. I'm asking right here, right now, what is the direct experience? Is there time? No, there is not. Is there a future? Is there a past? No, there is not. Is there a worry? Is there a fear? No, there is not. Only if you get sucked back into the duality and story of things. You want to shift your reality from the source? This is how you shift your reality from the source. The mind is going to love to come back and say, yeah, but. Yeah, but this is the identity I created. I'm locked into this. This is my reality. This is what I know to be true. This is what the world's reflecting back to me. Blah, 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 blah. What I'm helping you do is shift at the source. And so when you are living from presence in this no mind, timeless, eternal presence that you are, remember, this is your focused awareness, your identity. This is your focused identity. This is your calibration point with your focusing mechanism that is your vessel. That's what you are. And this is a different one. And this is a different one. There's all these infinite possibilities. When you live from divine presence and the truth of who you are, you expand. You are the field. You are boundless. You are timeless. You are spaciousness. You are the field. This is what I mean by you are the field, you are the portal. You are it. Your presence is it. You fully embodied in your presence is it. And as you expand into your timeless eternal nature, you can think of it as you take up the whole field now, right? You're no longer focused. Like think of this as like a localization of your consciousness, and think of that as a different localization of your consciousness. And you have all of these different options and infinite possibilities and infinite timelines to be different variations of this localization of consciousness. But when you're locked into this identity, you feel like as you have no choice, as if you have no choice. Um, and then and then just add fuel to the fire. You look outside into your external reality and say that that's the barometer of what's true for you, which is actually false. And then that just keeps you locked into a perpetual cycle because you just keep looking outside of yourself for proof, and you can't get proof outside of yourself. The proof is you. You are the source. You are the power source. The more you look outside of yourself for proof, let me rephrase this. You can't look at, you are the proof. And eventually because there's a delay, and that delay can be very, very short, like very, very short. Like it can be instantaneous. You're dealing with no time here, but there's also some things that you'll experience a delay. And that's only because it takes you that long to buy in to the truth of who you are. Um, the proof that you see out, if you're going to treat the external reality in any way in relation to proof, you can use it as proof of what you are emitting. That's it. And it's either going to be a calibration moment if it's not emitting something that is true to the nature of your being, which is abundance and love and compassion and joy and the truth of who you are, or you're going to look into reality and you're going to see it as a little wink that you are in alignment. But it is not a barometer of what is possible for you. It is only a reflection. It is only an echo. So if you do use it as a barometer of any kind, it can only be a barometer of what needs to be calibrated or a little wink from the universe of what has calibrated and locked in, but it is never a barometer to gauge what is possible for you because you have infinite possibilities, infinite timelines available. When you expand your presence and you live from this presence, it's like, I'm trying to use this as like, I'm just using hand movements. I hope you can feel this, but it's like you expand and become the field. You are the field. And what does that mean when you are the field and now you're operating from your timeless eternal nature in the power of now? Right now, right here. And you're no longer jumping, quote unquote, up into the mind to live from conceptual reality. You're just rooted right here now in your power. And you are the eternal, timeless presence. You are living from no mind. You are living in no time. And you actually become you are like all timelines, all infinite timelines are now available to you simultaneously. All of them are available to you. And then it's like you consciously get to select what identity you want to play with. So this is where it gets fun. This is when life gets to be playful and joyful. Because when you get to selectively choose, like an ice cream flavor, which flavor you want, you can choose whatever identity you want to play with as the conscious co-creator that you are, as the child of God that you are, as the divine creator that you are. You can play with whatever timeline you want. You're not limited to this anymore. This has nothing to do with what is possible for you. Like I said, here's over here where you're settling for just as good enough, just good enough. And then over here, you're a multimillionaire living your high life in divine reality. All of it is possible. So time becomes irrelevant. And this is where timelines can collapse very quickly, right? Because you are living from your timeless presence. You literally, when you live as the fucking field, all timelines exist within you, right? Because you are the field. You are the timeless, eternal presence. You become the field. You are the field. And now instead of being solidified, so to speak, over here in this identity and trying to figure out how to get to that identity, which is another solid fixture, a solid solidified point of identity. You just be the field, and then you can consciously select which one you want to play with. And because you're coming from no time and all time collapses here, the timelines collapse very quickly. if that makes sense. Timelines collapse. This is quantum shifting. This is collapsing timelines. This is science proving what we've already know spiritually and as frequency and as divine beings. Science is catching up to that in many ways. And so I hope this is resonating. There's a couple of stories I think I want to share. I hope this makes sense. It's kind of weird, but I was listening to, I don't know how long ago, Dolores Cannon talk about this at some point, and she was talking about people that were showing up into her speaking engagements. And she said something along the lines of, the fact that you're even here sitting in this speaking, sitting at this speaking event, sitting in this auditorium only exists because you've collectively agreed to it. When you don't collectively agree to it, this doesn't even exist. I know this is getting a little out there, and I welcome you to research it. But what this is essentially saying is when things are not focused on, when things are not observed, this is part of also the observer effect and quantum mechanics and stuff like that. So you're welcome to research it. That your collective agreement with your reality is what creates your reality. And the collective agreement of the whole and the collective shadow of the whole is what creates the collective reality. So when you look outside and you see the quote unquote world going through a bunch of stuff and growing, what's really happening is there is a collective agreement for those things to happen. There was a collective agreement to have Trump for president. There was a collective agreement to, uh, you know, I don't even know what examples I want to share. There's a collective agreement for all of it. We're in collective agreement to have war on this planet right now. We're in collective agreement to have ascension happening on this planet right now. We're in collective agreement to have such a stark contrast between fear-based consciousness living and new earth timeline living. We're collectively in agreement to the split. We're collectively in agreement to having the Holocaust. We are in collective agreement to having every peace rally. We are in collective agreement to what is arising within the whole. And you are collectively in agreement with whatever is arising within your individual world. And the collective agreement is the sum of like all of the parts. You're not separate from the whole. The microcosm creates the macrocosm, as within, so without. Again, law of correspondence. And so, where was I going with this? So when so the Dolores Cannon story, that like you're in collective agreement with everything in order for it to exist. And when you're not, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist and it's not there. You know what I'm saying? So like you can research this, but it'll explain it like this mic, this laptop, this phone, this chair I'm sitting on, this phone over here. It's like there's a collective agreement for this experience. And when this is not focused on, this doesn't exist. It literally materializes and dematerializes, just like the little subatomic particles that are always popping in and out of existence. And even the particles are like, they're not really even form. They're not like solid matter. So one story I'll share is kind of funny. It's kind of silly. I shared it with a Rise Sister Rise client, so I'm just going to try to share it here and hopefully maybe it'll resonate. But there was, I've been experiencing over here a lot of like glitches with timelines and just obviously synchronicity, as I'm sure you have. And so, for example, I was getting ready to go grocery shopping and I was going to buy some dog treats at the pet store. And I had this thought that didn't know what dog treats I wanted to get. There were some that a different store that I liked better. But then these I kind of liked too. And I wanted to, anyways, long story short, I wanted to get a certain dog treat, wanted it to be healthy, wanted it to, little Hazel's a little chunker butt. So I wanted to make sure it wasn't high in calorie and stuff like that. And I was just like, you know what? The dog treats that I want are going to be on sale, and that's going to be that's going to be like my indicator, the ones that are meant for me, that are in the highest, whatever. And then I go to the pet store and I forget about it, but so I wasn't really like attached to this thing. I was really going for like dog food, but that was the thought that the expectation that I had set, the intention that I had set very loosely. And then I go to the dog store and I'm getting the food. And then on the way out, one of the aisles, I couldn't see it on the way in, but I could see it on the way out because it was on the side of the aisle. It was the exact dog treat that I had visualized, and it was on sale, like 50% off, and it was only the size of my dogs. So it wasn't like the large breed dogs, and it wasn't like the toy poodles and toy dogs. It was only the dogs that were the size of my dogs, and they were 50% off. And so I had a chat with my girlfriend about this at lunch the other day, and we're very much on the same wavelength. And connected with her, and we have a lot to talk about. And we were talking about timeline shifts and like reality unfolding and being so fluid, because you could go into the mind and be like, oh, okay, did I create that? Did I was that a precognition? Did I already know, because I'm very intuitive and things like that. It's like the mind will be like, oh, that synchronicity, did I create it? Was that something I spoke into existence, thought into existence? And then you'll also be like, well, someone had to already put those treats on the shelf and mark them down before I got there. And so did I just pick up on that happening or what? Like, what's the deal? And it's just becoming more and more clear that there is a timeline where I walk into that pet store and there are no fucking treats on sale. And then there's a timeline where I walk into that dog store and the treat exactly like I wanted is on sale. I wasn't tied to it. There wasn't expectation around it. There was non-attachment around it, but there was a set intention and expectation, and there was zero resistance to it. And that is the timeline that I experienced. There are different timelines that could have panned out. That's how fluid and malleable reality truly is. The timeline is literally unfolding as you walk it. This is why I said in a few episodes, like really walking through this 3D reality, like the universe is unfolding underneath your feet, like your divine reality is unfolding underneath your feet and locking that in you with conviction, with so much certainty that you never entertain doubt or fear ever again. And hopefully this transmission helped you with that. When you lock in and you're not attached and you're certain and you know what, it's just, I don't know how to explain it. Uh, there are infinite number of timelines always available, always available. I was sharing another example. Like I always had like a little agreement that anything that was not meant for my body that I needed to like eliminate from my diet would be made of would cease to be available, would like be sold completely out. And that has happened a few times with certain food allergies, or I'll go to the store and exactly what I was craving, because sometimes you crave the things that you're actually allergic to or sensitive to. And the very things that I were craving were completely sold out. I was just sharing the story on the call I hopped off of where I love my dark chocolate. I have dark chocolate like almost every day, not every day, but I was having it every single day. And I kind of felt like maybe that wasn't something I should be doing every day. And I call it my healthy little addiction because it was organic dark chocolate, 73% or higher cacao. It's like, come on, I'm okay with some dark chocolate. But I kind of just got the intuitive hit that that probably what, like, I thought maybe I was sensitive to it or something like that. And so then I walk into the store, and where the dark chocolate is that I normally buy, it was sold out, but it wasn't just that dark chocolate that was sold out. It was the entire uh shipment of dark chocolate and all brands. It's like the dark chocolate truck didn't show up to the grocery store today. It's like the shelf that was like 8 feet long, like the size of this office space, that normally filled with chocolate bars and different kinds of chocolate bars. Maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe it's only 5 feet or whatever. It was like there wasn't an ounce of chocolate in this place to find. And it was like every single brand was sold out. It was like there was just like a dark chocolate truck that never showed up. What I'm saying here is there is a timeline where there's dark chocolate on the shelf. There's a timeline where there's no dark chocolate and everything that's sold out. That was my expectation for food that's no longer in alignment with me. There was a timeline with dog treats on sale, and there was a timeline where no dog treats were on sale. There's infinite number of timelines available to you. And when you are living consciously present in the moment from a place of no mind, beyond time, in your timeless, eternal nature, you become the field, and then you can select, like a flavor of ice cream, what divine identity you want to experience. Or I should say, what identity you want to experience. And ultimately, everything's divine. But when I speak to divine identity, I mean your highest timeline in reality, and you get to choose that too, and anything in between. This is your wounded identity, which many of you have found this channel or podcast or my content wherever you're listening to this. Actually, this won't probably be on the podcast because this is part of the Ascension, the Quantum Ascension Shift Code series. But this is the identity you've been focused on most of your life through conditioning and programming. This is your highest divine reality, the one where you get to live your most epic life beyond your mind's limitations and psychological borders of what you thought was possible, where you lock into something that is beyond what the mind thought was possible. So part of your problem is you're dreaming too small. You're capping your dreams based on what you think is possible based on this identity. You think only a little bit is possible for you. And so many of you are dreaming away to, you're not even allowing yourself to just, you're not even allowing yourself to tap into the feeling of what it would be like to live your highest divine reality and be abundant and prosperous and in your whatever your version of your highest divine reality would be. There is an infinite number of timelines available. Infinite. Think about that. Think about the word infinite. Think about it. It's not graspable by the mind. Your mind can't grasp what that even fucking means. So why would you allow your mind to dictate what you think is possible out of an infinite number of possibilities that the mind cannot understand? Is that making sense? So obviously, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. And I hope you got value from this. I think I covered about everything that I wanted to cover. If there's any homework for this or sacred embodiment or integration with this, it is to be here now and realize that an infinite number of timelines are possible for you. Don't limit or cap what you know to be true and what your desires are. This is another thing. It is okay to trust your desires. Your desires, your true heart desires, your soul desires are God gifted. This is something that you can trust. Last thing I'm going to end on is this energy of needing or wanting, because this came up on the call, and this is very interesting. The difference I'm going to share with you between needing and wanting. Because you may say, okay, that's fine. You may take this and then go off your merry way and be like, okay, well, here I am. I want this. I want this. One day I'll have, no, not one day, now. And no, not want, desire and declare with conviction and certainty, because now you know how reality works. And if you are still uncertain, that ask yourself, which is the God essence within you, to grant you the experience that you need in order to believe in the truth of reality and your divine nature. And watch what happens. I dare you. I dare you. Watch what happens. You're just asking yourself to show yourself exactly who you are and what you are. Ask yourself. That's why many on this journey, you first start to wake up, you start to ask, who am I? You're just asking yourself to show yourself to yourself. That's all that's happening. So if you are doing that with true intention to want to know how to ascend into the truth of who you are, you will be shown. By the time you ask, it is already given. There is no time. That's what they mean by that. By the time you ask, it is already given. There is no time. This is why as you progress into this and you really start to embody this, you don't even have to ask anymore, because you realize that you are already one with all of the cooperative components, because it's all part of the same infinite field of consciousness that you are, that you don't even have to ask. Things just start showing up in your experience before you even know that you needed them. And you're just divinely guided the whole way, like you're just walking on this red carpet that's rolled out for you, which is why I always say, walk, in that confidence and in that conviction in the truth of who you are, like the world is unfolding underneath your feet in your highest divine reality, and be open to receive without resistance, and be so rooted in your conviction that this is true. And that if there's anything that is still buying into a story of that not being true, to let it be revealed to the conscious awareness of that which you are, so that you can recalibrate it in the moment and shift into your highest timeline, quantum shift into your highest timeline, because there is no reason for it to take a long time, because time is irrelevant. Time is an illusion. It only exists here in the level of the mind. We've just shown you this, right? It does not exist when you live as the field. You live in the timeless, eternal now. So this is not about you wanting to get over here. This is not about how do you get over here. This is not trying to figure out the next logical linear step to get over here, right? That's all coming from the mind. It all requires a lot of time, and your mind can't even conceive how you're living over here, and then over here is your highest divine reality, and you need to try to figure that out. Your mind's not even going to be able to do that. And there's so much going to be happening behind the scenes, divine synchronicities. God works in mysterious ways. All of that is happening behind the scenes, and the field is recalibrating to your point of, signal, your broadcast signal, and doing all the heavy lifting for you. This is what I mean when I say your field does the heavy lifting. Your field does the heavy lifting. The heavy lifting to get from here to here is not on you. That's God's timeline. That's God's plan. And I trust me, God's plan is so much better than the plan over here that you got in this separate little tunnel vision, separate sense of self that you got going over here, that's been rooted in falsehood and untruths your whole life. God's plan for you is so much larger and bigger than what you are willing to even perceive or conceive for yourself, which is one of the quotes we were talking about on Rise Sister Rise, where it says, God says, nah, bigger. That's not ego. That's God asking you to align with the infinite abundance that you are, to align with the power that you have as a divine creator, and to live from this presence, and to not shrink and play small and dim your light and constrict and restrict what is fucking possible for you, because that is not true. That is not a true extension and expression of your divine essence. So it's not about trying to figure it out. It's not about the steps you're going to take. It's not about the whatever, how you're going to get there. It's not about linear logical steps. This is why an awakened mind seems crazy, delusional, naive, and ignorant to the 3D world. And most of the people that you know in your 3D world, they think you're Looney Tune, right? Or they think you're crazy, or you don't even talk about it with half of the people, that you grew up with, or that is in your family or whatever, because they would all think you're completely delusional. But you're not delusional. You're rooted in your conviction. Everybody else can think you're delusional. They will, because the awakened mind will sound crazy. The awakened mind will sound delusional. The awakened mind will sound naive, because you're operating from a whole different plane of reality. You're operating from a whole different level of consciousness. Stop trying to get people that are not operating at that level of consciousness to understand you, and save yourself a lot of grief and frustration and struggle. Right? Trust in your knowing, trust in your soul, trust in the divine God essence within you, trust in your knowing. That's the only thing you need to trust in. Trust in your desires that are God gifted to you. Trust that the expansiveness that is being called through you is part of the divine design. It is not you being greedy. It is not you being selfish. It is not you being anything other than you living your divine expression. So it is not about wanting, and that's what I want to end it on. It's about honoring your desires. So a lot of people dog desires and say, desires are all rooted in like fear or this or that, or, needing something outside of you. No, desires, true desire, a heartfelt desire, soul desire, is the natural God-given desire that wants to be expressed through you. And if you want to try to live your whole life denying your desires, have at it. You can do that. Come back to me in what appears to be 30 or 50 years on the linear timeline, and let me know how it goes for you by denying all of your inner desires. Let me know how that turns out. It's not about denying your God-given desires. Yes, the egoic desires will collapse and you will still have ego on this journey. It's not about demonizing the ego either. You will still have ego. Ego is part of your individuated expression within the one. Your individuated expression still requires ego to create your reality. But it's not about wanting. Wanting is rooted in lack. And what's most interesting is the actual definition of wanting, which I'm going to read to you right now, especially the one that ties in the word of desire. There's a couple here that really I wanted to um, before my phone dies. Want, by definition, is a lack or deficiency of something. A lack or deficiency of something, such as an example, it says the state of being poor and in need of essentials, poverty. And the other one that I like a lot is the one that includes the word desirable, where it says a lack or being short of something desirable or essential. So I think we can end it on that, I think we can agree that was just to just solidify this for you. This is not a state of, you will never, this is going to be one of the titled videos coming up that I was talking about with my client. You will never get what you want. You will never get what you want, because when you want something, you are saying it is separate and it is outside of you and you have to go get it. And that is the illusion. You are everything. You are all of it. And within the one, it is all accessible to you. In fact, you're already the fucking multimillionaire that you want to be, or you already have the divine love of your life. You already have all of these things. They already exist in the reality that they already exist in a timeline that is available to you and for you. But you have to line up with it, with your perception, with your signal, with your broadcast to the field. And you can collapse that very fast when you live as this. Now, you can also achieve success in this lifetime the old way. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're probably not watching this video anymore. You can strive and you can hustle and you can try to figure everything out and you can try to strategize and you can try to avoid obstacles and do all the things to try to maybe one day 30 years from now have your life, or maybe one day retire. Maybe you won't be maybe you won't be maybe you'll be young enough to still enjoy your wealth and all the kind of things. Or you can just collapse timelines and start to experience your divine reality now and just enjoy the unfolding and the divine alignment as the reality begins to reflect back everything that is rooted in truth. And you are no longer living to be in the destination, because you are all of it, and you fall in love with the unfolding of it. You're not wanting or needing it anymore. And that's paradoxically when it comes into your experiencing, because the wanting or the needing is lack, fear-based consciousness saying it is separate from you and you have to go out and get it, and that you do not have it now. And you will not be able to collapse your highest divine reality if you're holding yourself in a state of separation from what it is you truly desire, because you're rooted in lack, scarcity, or fear, and you're rooted in a lack of it. You embody it now in the present moment, the feeling of it, the identity of it that already exists within you, that you can tap into at any moment. You just have to stop buying into the fear-based programming and lies that the mind tries to sell you, because that keeps you locked into that identity. One of the analogies, one of my mentors described it as kind of like, think of like everything can take on any different form. Like even when you pass away, your body, he didn't say this, but your body passes away and the bodily death occurs and you're still here. You temporarily have a physical experience, and then it's like whatever. Energy never, it's just transmutes, right? So you can think of like this infinite body of water being your infinite playground that you get to play this reality with. You get to play in this reality as this infinite playground. and you can freeze you know, you can have snow and that can turn into like a frozen icicle, right? And that frozen icicle represents this solidified identity based on what you believe to be true, right? This solidified identity. And then you can melt that ice and it turns to steam, and it's all just like part of this creation process. None of it is actually, it's all just energy taking form, materializing and dematerializing. So I think that's all that wanted to come through. I hope this resonates. If it does, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I think I forgot all the housekeeping, so I'm just going to wrap up with sharing a little bit more about this series. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sarah. I go by Sarah over here. I should have said that. Um, maybe at the beginning, but if you're still here with me, then you're part of this tribe. I would love to hear from you. Drop something in the comments that resonates. Maybe drop, I am the field in the comments and let me know that you're here. But the way that this quantum ascension shift code series works is I drop weekly episodes through July, August, and September here on YouTube. And they live on YouTube for free for 72 hours. The divine gift for whoever wants to tune in here, completely complimentary. And after 72 hours, it rolls into the paid membership, which is like $9.99 a month. It is what it's living here on YouTube. And they will live in the membership for the until this last episode drops sometime in September. I don't know when that is. I will feel into when it is complete. Divine is orchestrating this whole thing, so I don't really have an end date, other than I know it'll be sometime in September. Those that resonate with this is part of why I was divinely guided to create this. Those that resonate with this are planting and nurturing major seeds that are going to harvest, starting to harvest now, and um, especially by fall of 2025, you're moving into harvest time. And so there's a reason why you're resonating with this. That being said, you can watch, like I said, the videos will live here on YouTube for 72 hours. Watch them completely complimentary or binge them inside the membership along with the previous episodes because they build on each other. And then I opened up a free Telegram channel called the Divine Overflow Inner Circle, which you can get access to for free. And that's kind of behind the scenes. I will drop in and do a little extra energy calibrations and just share some behind the scenes moments of like things that are unfolding over here behind the scenes. And you also get to join a community of other people that are going through this quantum shift ascension journey with you and things like that. And it's completely complimentary. So you can find the link for that where you're listening to this here on YouTube and join that for free. So at the end of the series, sometime in September, everything comes down and everything vanishes, the channel and the YouTube membership. And this is getting packaged into either a mini course or a course. I haven't decided yet, but it'll all be packaged for a paid program. So I'm delivering it live here with you complimentary on YouTube. So if you got value from this, I would love to hear from you. Let me know. Jump into the Telegram channel and join us. And yeah, that's it for now. I will be back soon, and I hope this finds you well. Namaste.